6,500 spiritual leaders are meeting for the Parliament of the World Religions this week. And based on their agenda, we might as well call this the Revelation 13 Conference, as it aligns perfectly with the world religion mentioned in Bible prophecy. And Google announces a worldwide ban on independent media. They've specifically listed 9 things that will get a website deleted from the Google algorithm, and you're not going to believe number 6. All this and more today on Endtime. Welcome to the Endtime Show. Vince Stegall here with Doug Norvell. We're taking your calls today. The number to join us is 877-ENDTIME, 877-363-8463. Before we get into the show, I want to remind you, we only have 6 days left to register for our tour to Israel, and there are only 10 spots available. So if you've ever wanted to go to Israel and experience Jerusalem, Galilee, all over Israel we travel. If you ever want to experience that, walking through the Bible, now is the perfect time to go. We would love to have you. We think our trip is unique because not only do we point out all the biblical references, but we also talk about Bible prophecy. There's not a lot of people walking through the plain of Megiddo saying this is where the battle of Armageddon is going to begin, or standing on the Temple Mount going, this is where the battle of Armageddon is going to wrap up when Jesus returns, and we're going to be with him after we've been raptured, and this is what it's going to be like right here. So we have an incredible time. We see Calvary, we see the tomb of Jesus, or at least what they believe is the tomb of Jesus, and go to the upper room and baptize in the Jordan River. There's so many things that we do in Israel, and it's a wonderful time. If you've ever wanted to go, now's the time to do it. Go to endtime.com/tour or call 800-ENDTIME and ask for Brittany or Jana. With only 10 spots left and 6 days to book it, you definitely want to move quickly on those available spots. All right, Doug, censorship is the conversation today. As if you're watching, you can see right here that sensitive content, we're not going to be talking about sensitive content that normal people would be offended by, but it does say some people may find offense, they may find our content offensive. So it's going to be interesting to talk about these things that Google has now decided to ban globally. Now what that means is, and maybe we don't want to get into it yet, but what that means is if you use these words on your website, you may not appear in the Google search engine. Is that as simple as that?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. And so, people that are looking for Endtime Ministries will not be able to find us because we talk about a majority of the things that they have listed there that they'll censor you for. So it's going to be harder and harder. You know, we have people all the time that say, hey, I didn't get an alert that you guys were live. We get that all the time with Facebook. And, there's one of the reasons right there, because they want to suppress the news that we're getting out. And so along with that, they're trying to say that some of these things that we speak about are disinformation or misinformation. And so, they're trying to wrangle all that in. But it's amazing at some of the partners that they have that they work with. I didn't put all this information into what we'll be sharing today, but we'll just discuss it right now since we have a second. They work with the FBI. They work with the...
They as in Google.
Yes, they work with the federal banks, the federal banking system, and they work with people like Wikipedia. So interesting, because I know a lot of people go to Wikipedia to get information. It just makes you wonder, what information are you really getting from Wikipedia? So,
well, we've been wondering that for quite some time.
We really have.
It's open source where anyone could edit it, and sometimes there's things on there that aren't reliable. But either way, I remember back in, I think it was 2012 or 2014, I like numbers. I like looking at that and following data and different things like that. So I'm kind of a nerd in a sense in that regard. And keeping up with the data on our website, it was either 2012 or 2014. I remember things were going great. We were having some of our best numbers ever in regards to web visits. And in 1 month, it was cut in half. Yeah. And I started talking to some of the developers and the SEO experts that help us out. And they said, well, Google changed their algorithm, and now where we would be in the first, second, or third position on Google, if someone would search One of the ones we used to be #1 in was the 4 blood moons. If they would search that, instead of it being the first, second, or third option, it's now on page 4.
Wow.
Well, I mean, you and I both use search engines. When was the last time you went to page 4 and clicked something?
Not too many times, unless I'm really looking for something.
Basically doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And so they didn't necessarily say, well, they might have, but it's not like it's like endtime.com is going to be banned from Google. It's just good luck, finding it on page 8 or 9 or 10 or whatever it is.
Right.
Nobody's going there. Nobody's seeing it. So I remember when that happened, and things have happened like that on Facebook, and of course Google owns YouTube now, and so it's happened on YouTube and all across. We use these websites to try to go where the people are, because it's important that we're reaching people, but they do get to control the narrative, and if you don't fall in line with them, you're going to be cut off, or at least suppressed.
Yeah.
So they want to force you into saying the things that they want you to say.
Well, sure. And, that goes along with, when we talk about world government, this goes right along with it, because some of the agencies that they deal with are the WEF, the WHO, the UN. So you've got some of this that's mentioned in this article where they talk about some of these big movers and shakers. So it doesn't surprise me that this falls into that category, because this is very much the New World Order at its finest. They're going to control the media flow. They want to control the news getting out. You and I talked today about the situation going on in Maui, where they're not even, well, I know we don't want to talk too much about that today, but where they're not even allowing media into parts of Maui. And so, this is the type of things that they want to control. They want to control the news that's getting out there. And they also, Vince, one of the things that I've noticed too, is something can come out that will spark everybody's interest and get people to begin to search and begin to look. Well, once they see that people are searching for that subject, they'll come out with a fact check on it and try to say that it's not true. But there's been several times, especially here lately, where I've been able to go and find that it is very much true what people are saying, but the fact checkers are saying it's not true.
Well, there are people, you mentioned Maui, so it's like, here we are.
Yeah.
I jokingly shushed you, but that's because people don't want to necessarily talk about this right now.
Right.
But you mentioned Maui. My wife last night said, what are you guys going to talk about tomorrow? I said, well, we don't always know the night before, but she said, you're not going to talk about Maui? I'm like, well, not yet, probably, because a lot of this stuff is, it's still considered speculation, I suppose. Like, I've seen a lot of stuff. A lot of videos from locals or people who proclaim to be locals. Right. So it's like, we're not ready to go down that route yet, probably, but there's a lot of stuff brewing there. She says, well, I follow 5 or 6 accounts or whatever it is, and they're from Maui because they're into health and wellness, and I've been following them for years, and they're reporting on this on there. So I know them. I've been following them. Everything, they're legit or whatever, and so who knows what will happen in Maui, Doug? But does it have something to do with world government? I suppose it could.
Yeah.
We'll have to look into that a little more, eh?
I think more and more things that are in the news have to do with world government.
All right, well, 9 things that Google has now banned. That's what we'll be talking about today, and trust me, you're not going to believe number 6, so don't go anywhere.
A voice spoke to me and said, I've got something I want to show you. I was so sure God had talked to me. And I was stunned on what I saw.
A direct fulfillment of this over 2,500-year-old prophecy. The United States will stand with Israel.
Why haven't I ever seen this before?
1/3 of humanity will die. What do these beasts symbolize?
The lion, the bear, the leopard.
The combined beast from Revelation 13 represents the end-time government of the Antichrist. Understanding the end time.
Now streaming on Endtime Plus and available to order at endtime.com/UET. Go to endtime.com/UET or call 800-ENDTIME.
Are you ready for an extraordinary journey to the region that is the focus of more end-time Bible prophecy than any other? Well, look no further. join us on an unforgettable journey to Israel. Our adventure begins down in Jerusalem, where we will teach on the Mount of Olives, sing at the Garden of Gethsemane, walk down through the Kidron Valley. Then we'll make our way north, have a boat ride on the Sea of Galilee while visiting Joppa, Mount Carmel, baptize in the Jordan River, and so much more. Don't miss out on this incredible trip to Israel. Spaces are limited. Book your tour today. Visit endtime.com/tour or call us at 1-800-ENDTIME. Join us for an experience that you will never forget.
What if you could understand Bible prophecy? Dave Robbins, the host of the End Time Show's TV and radio programs, is holding a free prophecy conference near you. Gain peace and understanding about what the Bible says concerning end time prophecy. Call 1-800-ENDTIME or go to endtime.com/events to see when Dave will be in a location near you.
Welcome back to the End Time Show. Vince Stegall here with Doug Norvell. We have open lines at 877-END-TIME, 877-363-8463. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. We're talking about this breaking story that there are 9 things now that Google is banning internationally. And once we get to number 6, I think you're going to be blown away by that. So stick around to hear what that is. I want to remind you about the Get Clear Prophecy Bundle before we get into that. We've come out with 3 brand new lessons: Warn the Jews, Antichrist, Socialistic Kingdom, and the 2 Witnesses. I did one, Doug did one, Dave did one, and we're offering that as a package deal. It's called the Get Clear Prophecy Bundle, and it's available for a limited time, free with any donation at endtime.com/clear. So be sure to check that out. It's the physical DVDs. We will ship them to you right away. endtime.com/clear or call 800-363-8463. Be happy to help you out with that. All right, Doug, getting right into it. 9 things. Actually, before we do, I wanted to say one more thing to all our viewers on social media.
Okay.
If you'd like us to look into this Maui thing a little bit more and see if there's anything to talk about in regards to Bible prophecy, comment Maui. Simply just comment the word Maui, and we'll see what we can do about seeing how that ties into Bible prophecy, if at all, Doug.
There you go.
Got any speculations? Bible prophecy or no?
Bible prophecy, no. I mean, I can't
We'll have to see, right?
Yeah. I mean, not right off top of my head, so.
Yeah. All right. Well, comment it, Maui. Comment the word Maui if you want us to deep dive into that.
But don't think that I don't have some ideas about Maui.
Don't think that we haven't consumed way too much information on it already.
Yeah.
All right. But how about this announcement that Google's made on this worldwide ban? Sounds crazy that that's even possible, but like we said before, Google runs their own website. They can do whatever they want, right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, yes. I mean, people, that are going to use Google, they're going to have to deal with this, but I don't think it's going to be just Google, and I don't know how far the Google tentacles reach out there. And
far.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming as well. And so, you know more about the high-tech stuff than I do, but I'm just saying that I would imagine this is going to affect a lot of people's Google searches for sure, and other searches as well, because I would imagine that to follow suit, there's going to be other companies that are going to be doing this very same thing too. The thing that worries me, Vince, is this is getting more and more like Big Brother. I mean, we talk about how Big Brother's watching us all the time, and they want to control because they're wanting to just see everything that's out there, and they want you to follow the narrative. They want people to listen to what they say, and they want you to stay in line with what they're saying. And if anybody's outside that box, they want to stop that. They want to nip it in the bud, so to speak. And so it's not surprising to me the reach that world government has, that they can reach out to these people. But the executives with Google, I'm sure that we've even talked about this before, that they're part of the World Economic Forum. And so, with that said, we know the World Economic Forum has a lot of authority and power. So is the UN and the WHO, and both of those are listed in this article.
Well, you know, one way that this move is going to affect not just Google, but people like us, you know, like Endtime.com. People search our website. People search for topics that we speak on, that we write about. This isn't just Endtime. This is many smaller, you know, we're not Fox News, we're not CNN, Newsmax, we're not big names like that. We're a smaller ministry that we report on the news. We explain it through a lens of Bible prophecy, of course, but that's what we're doing. We're explaining Bible prophecy and using current events to help with that. And so we're going to talk about things that, like our background says today, may be sensitive or offensive to some, because we're trying to tell you the truth of the Bible. Now, what that does is, you know, people say, well, don't use Google, use DuckDuckGo or use Bing or whatever. Well, I get that, but there's like 99% of people using Google still. So that's what basically all the world uses for their search engine. That's where a lot of people are searching. Guess what they don't find when they search, what does the Bible say about world government? Well, they're not going to find endtime.com. So then they don't see what we have to say about it or what some other smaller publications say about it. And they might be missing out on the truth. They may never find an independent perspective, or from us, a biblical perspective on that, because we're saying things that goes against what Google policy is, and so they never get to find Endtime. And that's why we need your help with sharing the videos, commenting, giving us a love instead of a thumbs up. That all helps us get out even more. We're fighting a big monster here, but it does help when you do those things. So publications like Endtime are being suppressed, which means if you're not following in line with what Google says is appropriate or truthful, that information is being suppressed from people that you work with, people that you go to church with, your family members. You don't, you know, some of you don't know what your kids are searching on Google. Well, they might have found an article or a video from Endtime, and that might have adjusted their perspective on the matter. But if you're using Google, that may not happen anymore. And this is just a battle that we've been in for a very long time with censorship. That's why subscribing to Endtime Plus is so important at watch.endtime.com. You're going to get notified. We've told you before, we have hundreds of thousands of followers on social media. Most of you do not get notified when we go live or post something on social media because our information is just being suppressed. And this is just a new attack on people like Endtime. And so, man, we need your support more than ever. If you're watching now, you may be one of the few because it's just not getting out there. So we need your help in sharing. We need your help financially. All these things help us to continue to get the word out there and to do everything we can. So, Doug, you're talking about how this suppresses people. You know, I think of the little guy, you know, the small businesses that are going to be affected by this. Yeah. We survive off of donations. Mm-hmm. And so donations decrease because more and more people aren't finding us. So that's, you know, unfortunately how it ends up working. So we rely on God, though.
Right.
Above
Amen.
everything else.
That's right. And, you know, I mean, our voice is going to be heard and people are going to get it out there. But as I was reading through this article today, I was wondering how much of this has to do with Tucker Carlson and what, you know, his situation was, because he was on a major news network and they wanted him to be shut down. They even, I remember when Chuck Schumer stood in the Senate room floor saying, you know, calling out to the president of Fox News saying to keep Tucker Carlson from doing this anymore when he let out the information about January 6th. He showed us video of January 6th, and in that video of January 6th, we see people just walking through the Capitol building there. The one main guy that I think of is the one that was dressed with the buffalo horns on his head. I can't remember. They call him the what do they call him? The QAnon shaman. Thank you, in my ear. There's production helping me out. So they show him. He supposedly was very violent and the police had to arrest him and all these things, but you saw the footage yourself live on TV where they're escorting him through and showing him all the things. And then, you know, they arrest him and take him to jail saying that he was a violent protester. So when Tucker was getting that stuff out, they suppressed him on Fox News. They ended up firing him. He went off the air on a Friday, and Monday he didn't have a job. He had no clue. His last stint there on Fox, he had the pizza delivery guy on his show that stopped a carjacking when he tripped the guy, when he run by him and the police jumped the guy and got him, and Tucker had him bring some pizza in. They shared a pizza. That was his last show. Didn't know that on Monday he wouldn't have a program. Well, now he has a program on another type of format where it's more of he's just able to say what he wants to say. And he even, has video out there where he talks about how the media, the mainstream media, pushes agendas and they're not telling us the truth. And so how much of this is targeted at people like him as well? It's not just us for trying to get biblical proof out, but it's also somebody who's exposing what is going on with world government and with the agenda behind what the media is pushing out there with the COVID-19 vaccine, all the different things that are happening. He's telling you things that they don't want you to hear. So this is a big story.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bigger than what I think the media is pushing it to be, I guess, so to speak, because
surprise.
Yeah, when we see it, we're like, when you sent me this article yesterday, the alarm bells went off, and I sent you a text back and said, wow, I can't believe this. So,
well, Doug, the people are crying out, hurry up and tell us what the 9 things are.
Oh, okay, well, let's get there.
So sorry to bore you all with the conversation, but are we ready to get into this?
Yeah, let's do this.
They've announced plans to completely ban all independent media outlets from appearing in their search results. Now, that's what happened in Ireland, but we won't get off into that because they want to hear the 9 things.
Right, let's go.
Sorry. So, far from the noble intention of assisting with the factual verification of information online, Google's algorithms are designed to delete websites that criticize topics such as, we ready for number 1?
Yeah, drum roll, please.
All right, don't forget to share the video. That helps us out. Number 1, COVID-19 statistics.
Number 1, that does not surprise me. That's number 1. Yeah.
Now, CNN posts COVID-19 statistics. Fox does all that. These big, YouTube even does that. So it's like, are we saying they're going to suppress that, or is that specific independent media sites like us?
Yeah, I would think if that's anything that's going against their narrative that has to do with that, then they're going to shut you down.
Why is this even a problem anymore? Because they've announced this battle is over. Of course, they've reintroduced that it's spreading again, but is this really a thing that should be listed, COVID-19 statistics? I guess for historical purposes.
Well, just saying that word COVID-19 can get us banned from Facebook and YouTube.
Okay, so we shouldn't say COVID-19 anymore on the show.
Probably not, but we'll continue to do it.
Decrease the use of COVID-19?
Yeah.
All right, number 2, the World Bank.
Yeah, imagine that.
If an independent media outlet says the World Bank, you risk being deleted from Google algorithm.
And why do you think that would be important at this point in time?
Well, seriously, why is that important? It's going, okay, if they're trying to impose things, we were talking about something that we may do later on a topic going on in the banking industry, but if they want to control the narrative, that's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
They want. We've seen that clip where all the different news hosts are saying the same thing. They go to Fox, they go to CNN, they go to ABC, all the different ones.
Yeah.
And it's like everyone's reading from the same script. They want to control the messaging that's going out.
Right.
So if you're on Google and you're not in alignment with that messaging,
Yeah.
well.
And right now they want to
luck.
push out the digital currency, and they want that to be the new cool hip thing. And so
Yeah.
if you're speaking against that, boy, they want to shut that down because they want everybody to buy into that, because then they can control you through currency. So, it's amazing that these are 2 of the top 2 topics there, but let's continue so we can get everybody to number 6, because I know that's what they're waiting for.
Number 6. Number 2 is the World Bank. So we got COVID-19 statistics. Number 2, the World Bank. Number 3, the FBI's crime statistics.
That's another one that makes you scratch your head.
What's wrong with this?
Yeah, why would the FBI crime statistics be there? Surely that doesn't have anything to do with Hunter Biden or his laptop.
Don't say that around here, Doug. We might have somebody knocking on our door in the middle of the show.
Right.
I heard that his lead criminal investigator is asked to be released from the case, which that's neither here nor there. The FBI's crime statistics, Doug, it seems like, why is that a problem?
Yeah.
I guess if someone that's in, now, okay, are we willing to admit that there are plenty of independent media outlets, media organizations that are just reporting falsely. Like, isn't that true that even if they're not like independent and big, there's people who are reporting on things that are not true?
Right. And I mean, that's one of the things that, like you said earlier, why we're not ready to go to certain stories. We want to make sure we have all our facts straight.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure we're bringing the most current information that is true information to you so that you can gather the facts. And we even tell people all the time, Vince, you've got to gather all your facts, do the studying for yourself, and then decide what you need to do about certain situations. So, I mean, yes, there are some agents, some independent news people, or even people with just a TikTok out there that can say pretty much anything they want to.
Well, and you know, we say this all the time, like, don't trust Fox, don't trust CNN, don't trust us. Like,
right.
If we report on something, like, we think we're trustworthy, obviously we're trying to tell you the truth, but don't just take our word for it.
Right.
Go search it out and you figure out the truth as well. And we go that far with the Bible as well.
Amen.
Like, if we start telling you what the Bible says,
yeah,
and we're making stuff up, you don't need to rely on people who are making stuff up about the Bible for your spiritual well-being.
Right.
Whether it's us, some other show that you watch, some other ministry you follow, or even your own church. Like, don't just take somebody's word for what the Bible says. You get in there and study it for yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
That'll get us persecuted too, so I won't stick around for that. That should have been on the list.
Yeah.
So number 1, COVID-19 stats. Number 2, the World Bank. Number 3, the FBI's crime statistics. Number 4, a one world global government. Well, that's an interesting thing to be on this list.
I know, right?
Comment Maui if you want to hear about that. So
there you go.
One world global government.
Isn't it amazing that they want to stop any talk about that, because they want to deny that that's even part of their goal, but we know it is. And so, you know, that's why they want it suppressed. They want it shut down so that people don't understand that there's going to be a one world global government.
So number 1, COVID-19 stats. Number 2, the World Bank. Number 3, the FBI's crime stats. Number 4, a one world global government. Somebody asked why BlackRock's not mentioned. That's a great question. Oh, there's the music, Doug. We can't get to number 6 just yet. We're out of time.
Oh, man.
So you have to stick around to hear what it is. We'll get to 5 and 6 and all the way through 9 on the other side of the break. Give us a call, 877-Endtime.
They that understand what is taking place will instruct many.
Except a man is born again, he can't enter or see the kingdom of God.
I don't care what label you've been given or what label you've given yourself. You are essential. You still matter.
This is a journey, and when we get to the other side of that, that's where our prize is. That's where our reward is.
Endtime is not going anywhere.
Satan and the elites of this world don't want you to understand the timeline leading to the second coming of Jesus. You can pinpoint where we are in the end time, understand how you fit in, and be filled with hope in God's plan by watching The Future According to Bible Prophecy. Go to endtime.com/future or call 800-ENDTIME. That's 800-363-8463.
Welcome back to the Endtime Show. Vince Seagal here with Doug Norvell. We have open lines at 877-Endtime, 877-363-8463. Don't forget, we have a trip to Israel coming up. There's only 6 days left to register. So, and there's only 10 spots. So make sure that you move quickly and do that at endtime.com/tour. You're going to get to spend the entire time with Dave and Jana Robbins and a busload of other people that think a lot like you do. We're going to have a great time there in Israel together. You're going to get to eat breakfast with Dave. You're going to have dinner with Dave. You'll be able to pull him to the side and ask him all the questions you want. He is not in a VIP limo anywhere. He's traveling with you in the bus. He flies there with you in the same plane as you do. So it's a wonderful time, and you basically have all access to Dave during that time. Of course, Doug just went on one. Doug, how crazy is it over there? Is it too scary for people to go or what?
No, it's so much fun. And really right now is an exciting time to be over there. They may be signing a deal with Saudi Arabia soon in the peace agreement. I mean, who knows what could happen there. A lot of articles about that in the news as well. It's, Saudi Arabia is wanting to turn the Temple Mount Authority over to Jordan and take it away from the Muslim Waqf, and so there's all kinds of news going on right now about that stuff, but they also want to be on the side of the Palestinians and kind of be the bartering tool to help those guys get a state and get things that they want from this peace agreement too. So who knows? I mean, you could be there at a pivotal time in history where you're there watching history happen. But you can definitely go and see where history has already taken place, and it is amazing, and you will love it. You'll enjoy every moment of it, I guarantee it. The food is good. Of course, the Bible studies are wonderful, and the scenery, you can't beat it. It's amazing out there, so you will love it.
Someone asked if they could ride on a camel with Dave, and the answer to that is probably no, but you could ask him and see
You can
what
ride
happens.
a camel, but probably not
Probably
with
not
Dave.
with Dave. Yeah,
No.
I don't know if they have a camel equipped for two. So
You may not,
I don't
especially
know.
somebody as big as Dave is. He's a big guy.
Go to endtime.com/tour or call 800-ENDTIME. Ask for Brittany or Jana. They can help you out with that. There's only 10 spots left, 6 days to register. Be sure to do it. All right, 9 things, Doug, that Google has just recently banned. Not going to believe number 6. We've already got through 4. Number 1, COVID-19 stats. Number 2.
You just love making people hang on the edge, don't you? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Trying to,
No, you're doing great.
man, throwing me under the bus. Dave comments and says, no camel for Big Dave. Sorry.
There you go.
Number 2, the World Bank. Number 3, the FBI's crime stats. Number 4, a one world global government. These are things that are banned on Google for independent media outlets.
Mm-hmm.
So if we write an article about any of these topics, it may not appear in your searches. That's why it's so important to subscribe to Endtime Plus, to go to endtime.com directly. Tons of free stuff there.
Yeah.
That's why that's important, because you're not going to find it in Google. A lot of people use it. Most people use it. Number 5, global warming stats provided by the IPCC.
Imagine that.
What's the
Global warming
IPCC?
stats. The International Panel on Climate Change.
Okay, so we couldn't write an article about global warming stats that they provided data for? Like, if we did, it just wouldn't appear in your Google search potentially.
Yeah.
That's what it's saying.
Not coming from us. Now, if it was coming from CNN, that would be on the top storyline.
Why is this, Doug? What's going on here?
Because we tend to post more of the truth about these situations, and so they don't want to hear what we have to say. I'm surprised. Never mind. I'm just going to be quiet right now because they'll shut my personal Facebook down if I don't.
Well, Google's supposed to be like a database,
Yeah.
where you can search
Yeah, exactly.
whatever it is you're trying to find, and you're going to get results for that, and be able to click and pick whatever you want.
Right.
But they're now saying that if you're an independent media outlet, these are some things that if you write about, it may not make it into the algorithm on Google. And so instead of being on page 1, I've already said we were not on page, we were like top 5 results on many of these topics just less than 10 years ago. And because Google has edited their algorithms and changed it and suppressed people like us, we don't appear there anymore. We're on page 2 or 3 or worse.
Yeah.
And so new people don't find us when they do these searches.
Yeah, that's true.
I talked to somebody on the phone a few years ago, Doug. What are you laughing
You
at?
got me on the edge of my seat, and I know
You know what
number
number 6 is? I talked to someone a few years ago.
Yeah.
I don't even remember why I was about to tell this story, so I don't even know if I should. But nonetheless,
Yeah.
we'll just move on. I don't
Okay.
remember what that was about, but it was about censorship. I know that
Yeah.
much, but I'm not going to be able to
I
draw that. So, number 6. Are we ready for this?
Yes.
Anheuser-Busch.
Yeah, how about that? To me, that's ridiculous.
The beer company.
Yeah. So Bud Light, they've had this push where they put a transgender individual on their can, right, pushing the LGBTQ plus lifestyle. And of course, Anheuser-Busch has taken a large hit and gone from, I heard the other day they were like the #1 beer, like Bud Light was like the #1 beer in America, and now it's like some off-brand like I'd never heard of before. I can't remember which one it was, but anyway, they're not the king anymore. Remember, they were the king of beers back in the day.
The guys in the production room didn't come in and tell us what that beer was.
They probably don't know either. You know, I can remember being a little kid and seeing the Budweiser commercial, and it said king of beers, you know, back in the day. Well, they've totally ruined that. Now they're the queen of beers. And
or are they?
Yeah, and so they've lost a lot of respect from a lot of people because of that, and they push this agenda. So now if you even mention Anheuser-Busch, they're going to censor you.
Well, this guy, Dylan, I can't remember his last name. His name's Dylan Mulvaney. They came in for that. Dylan Mulvaney, oddly enough. They came in for that. No, that's not what I said. But Dylan Mulvaney, he's the guy that they did this deal with, but he also is the guy that posted like my first 60 days of being a girl, like he did this series on TikTok. It was recognized by the White House. President Biden brought him into the White House. And remember, I showed these clips on the Online Prophecy Weekend a few years ago. So, like, this guy has been around, and Anheuser-Busch did this deal with him. And now Google is saying that people like us can't talk about this if we want to appear in the top searches.
Yeah.
They're basically saying, well, you know, somebody told LeBron a few years ago to shut up and dribble.
Right.
They're basically telling us, like, shut up, you cannot talk about these things if you want anybody to read your site.
Yeah, and here's one of the things. Remember, we saw that Budweiser and Anheuser-Busch, that they're one of those companies that are protected, you know, by the global elites, because what they do is they feed money into those systems, and if you are doing certain things, you get certain scores, and you get your name pushed up there, you get a certain amount of money. But if you reject those and kind of it goes down the opposite way. So they're all part of this, and so that must be they're protecting their investment, I would imagine, is what they're doing here, Vince. And I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist there, but I am trying to say that they're investing money into that. And so if you're saying something that's going to bring people away from their product, this is another reason why they're doing that. So, I mean, this is a bigger story, like I said, than what a lot of people would give it credit for. But that's, to me, that's ridiculous that we can't have in our article the name Anheuser-Busch.
Well, we can, but if we want new people to find it, and if they use Google, you're wasting your time, basically.
Right.
So it's not, it's voluntary buyback. It's like, we're not making you turn your guns in, but you're going to get taxed until you can't afford to live until you do that. It's like the same story. So, you know, you don't have to write about it.
Here's the thing, too. If we're doing this, if we're putting things that have these topics in our articles or on our program, and somebody goes to tag that and put it on YouTube, or they go to put it on Facebook, you're going to get something like this behind us that's going to cover that up and say this is false information, and click here to see why, and all that stuff. They're going to try to keep people from seeing that and suppress it from being able to get out. And so that's the other thing that's going to happen. When is it going to move from this? That's what's scary, to where we can't do this, to where they come and try to shut us down completely and say, look, you can't be in business
I mean,
anymore.
they're doing
We're gonna
that.
arrest all you guys.
They're doing that without boarding up the doors.
Yeah.
They're doing that by trying to cause people like us to go out of business. I mean, that's what it boils down to. They're doing it without officially doing it.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's kind of creepy. All right, real quick recap again. COVID-19 stats is number 1. The World Bank, number 2. The FBI's crime stats, number 3. A one world global government, number 4. Global warming stats provided by the IPCC is number 5. Number 6 is what someone called Anheuser-Busch.
Nice.
Number 7 is World Health Organization. No, their findings on any topic they select.
How about that?
World Health Organization's findings on any topic they select.
Yeah, so
WHO.
WHO, and we've talked about that before, because remember, it's the WHO who's trying to get the nations to basically give over their sovereignty. And just saying that right there, they've tried to fact check that and say that's not true. But it is true, because they would be able to lock down your country if you sign this agreement with them for this pandemic treaty. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago on the program. If you sign over your sovereignty to them, then anything that they deem an emergency health situation, they could shut you down. So is that what's going on in Maui right now? You know, I mean, they're shutting that down. They're not even allowing people to bring supplies into that area.
Doug, did you say Maui?
I did.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And so, I mean, these kind of things are happening all over the place. If they deem that that is something that they could shut down the entire island and not let anybody back in there, they would be able to do that under something like that. And so we've seen this disaster happen, whether you believe that it's natural or this was caused by greenhouse gases or whatever you believe that it is. You know, the thing is, they could come in and say, yes, this is caused by global warming. You know, these factories did it. We're going to shut down this entire island. You can't go back in there, and now we own this, basically. That's what we're talking about with the World Health Organization. So if you say anything about them, once again, there you go. They're on the list. I'm surprised, really, that they're not higher up on the list.
No doubt.
They're number 7. I can't believe they're not like number 3.
Well, I did move Anheuser-Busch to number 6, so I think they were number 6 before.
Well, still.
All right, you mentioned Maui. Again, we're not diving off into that subject, at least just not yet. We'll have to see what happens there. There's a lot of information developing. We can't really comment on how everything happened. We can comment on how things are happening now, of course. We talked about that briefly here. But comment Maui if you want to hear more about those details. If there's anything to share, we certainly will. Number 8, United Nations Energy Stats Database. The UN's Energy Stats Database.
Yeah.
So if I write a story about this, talking about their carbon emission stuff, you posted a photo on your Facebook earlier today about the number of days that it reached 100 degrees.
Yeah.
And I believe the hottest ever was this year, right?
Well, yeah, the hottest temperature ever, I think, above average was, but we still didn't break the record. That was still in 1980 here in this.
All the way back in 1980?
1980, we had 42 days, I think, over 100-degree temperature. And I talked about that the other day, how I remembered we couldn't even practice on the practice field. We had to practice on our game field because the practice field had big cracks in it. And so anyway, it's nothing new. We have heat waves. This is summertime in Texas. Welcome to Texas, folks.
So by saying that, it could get us kicked off of the Google front page.
Absolutely.
All right, well, there you have it. We didn't get to number 9 yet, but the show's not over. If you want to hear number 9, you're going to have to stick around. Don't forget to go to endtime.com/tour so you can join us for one of those 10 remaining spots on our trip to Israel.
Hi, I'm Judy Baxter. When Irvin and I got married, we didn't realize that our calling would be a prophetic ministry. Since we started Endtime Ministries, there have been many times we weren't sure how we would pay the bills, but God has always provided. We started with the magazine, then went on radio and TV, and now we have the Jerusalem Prophecy College in Israel and online with Endtime Plus. The mission has always been to reach people with the gospel of Jesus Christ and the end-time message. Through the years, my husband would say, we will see revival like never before in the last days. We are living in the end time now. Thank you for walking this journey with us and continuing in prayer. You are a part of the team. Thank you for your generous support. It is necessary for God's purpose. The most important thing is that you are ready when the Lord comes. Our hope is to help prepare you for that day. God bless you, and we love you.
Welcome back to the End Time Show. Vince Stegall here with Doug Norvell. We're so happy you've joined us today. We're talking about the 9 things that Google has now banned worldwide, not just locally in your area, but worldwide. If you are an independent media outlet, there are things that you are no longer going to be able to write about if you want to appear in the top searches on Google. They will simply either delete you entirely or push you back so far on the pages that no one can find you, which we talked about a little bit. Is kind of like boarding up somebody's business, depending on the media outlet, they rely on Google because it's something like 98%, 99% of the population uses Google as the search engine. So people can say, don't use that, use DuckDuckGo, or, which is what I personally use, but there's others out there that you can use, and yes, you can, but the amount of people that are there are, it's just not where everybody's at. And so it's still important to be on Google to reach the masses, and that's one thing we do. Of course, someone could say the same thing about YouTube and Facebook and all the different social media outlets. So we want to be able to reach people no matter where we are, and that's what we're talking about today. I told you couldn't believe number 6. I wonder what you thought about that. Did anybody expect number 6 to be what it was? Comment and let me know. Doug, I don't think we should get to number 9 until we tell everybody again that Understand the End Time is now released. So we've got a brand new book, Understand the End Time, that Dave wrote, Understand the End Time DVD series, and of course it's streaming on Endtime Plus as well. It's never been easier to understand what is happening in the world today and what Bible prophecy has to say. So if you don't have Understand the End Time yet, you can get the book today. You can get the DVD series. Just simply go to endtime.com/UET, and you'll see the options there for you to consume that information. It's a 14-episode series. Dave is teaching primarily, but then there's clips of Irvin incorporated, and it's so awesome. And then if you're a reader, get the book. So check it out at endtime.com/UET, or if you want to start streaming it today, you can go to endtime.com/new, and you can stream it on Endtime Plus. So check it out. All right, Doug, 9 things.
Yeah.
Do we need to go over 1 through 8 again, or tell people they got to rewind if they're watching later?
I think we probably should just move on.
Rewind? How old am I? All right, number 9. Environmental Protection Agency's greenhouse gas report.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
Well, anything that's given data about the greenhouse gases, and anything that you would have to say negative, I would assume that means. It's funny to me that out of those 9, 3 of them are based on climate change or carbon emissions or environmental protections, greenhouse gases. I mean, that amazes me that so much about that right now is what they're suppressing. But remember also, Vince, when we showed the guy that was from CNN, he was one of the producers of CNN, and they did an investigative reporting undercover video of him talking about what the next big thing they were going to push after COVID-19. He said global warming. So what have we heard since COVID-19's gone away? This agenda about global warming over and over and over again. There was some footage where they showed what was his name? The vice president back in the day that pushed all the greenhouse stuff. I can't even think of his name. Help me out. There you go. Al Gore. They're so good in the production room. Al Gore, when there was a brand new video that was put out of him. Now he's saying that, we're going to have this global cooling now. He talked about global warming. Back in the 80s when I was in school, I remember hearing him talk about how, the polar bears were going to all drown because there wasn't going to be any icebergs to be on and everything because of global warming. Now, the other day, he was talking about global cooling. But also, remember, he invented the internet. So, he's got that going for him. I guess he can always fall back on that. But it's just amazing because they're always trying to push something, and now they're pushing global warming like never before, or climate change. Whenever the global warming stuff started to be something that people were kind of pushing against, then they changed it to global climate change. And so it's interesting to see 3 out of the 9 there listed, Vince. So I guess we better be real careful about what we post on our titles of our programs and things.
Well, it's not even that, Doug. They are listening to us right now.
All right.
And the machines are transcribing everything that we say.
AI.
Yes. And they've been doing this for a very long time. And so whatever you say is being transcribed by a machine, and it's being tracked, and then they're using that for many, many things.
Right.
But so it doesn't really matter. So here's the deal. I think we're committed to telling people the truth.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't care what Google says we can or can't say.
Mm-mm.
We're going to tell people the truth, and we're going to trust in God. And we know that people that want to know this are going to find it some way or another.
Yeah.
We have incredible partners that have been teamed up with us for decades, but also people that just now coming on board. They've only been here for a week. These are incredible people that we get to interact with on a daily basis, and we trust that God is putting everyone in our lives that's supposed to be. And if Google says they're not allowed to push that story out on page 1, we trust that our partners are going to be sending that link around.
Right.
Texting it to people, emailing it to people. That goes a
out.
long way. There's truth that people need to hear, and guess what? Satan has never been able to stop the truth from getting out, Doug.
That's right.
You ever heard that before? You know this already.
Yeah, absolutely.
This isn't new information. Guess who can't stop God from getting the truth out?
Yeah.
Google. They're not smart enough. They don't have software engineers smart enough to write code to stop the truth from getting out.
Right.
You know what's probably going to happen? It's going to flip on them, and God's going to use it to exalt certain messages that they don't want out. That's what I'm looking forward to. I'm believing it and having faith for it.
Yeah, that's the God we serve. So
absolutely,
yeah, very interesting. Well, okay, so we
help us, Doug.
Well, we talked about this, and this is a big deal as far as I'm concerned. It's a real big deal. But we also teased a little bit about this world religious system that is meeting this week. So let's try to get that in before the end of the program if you want to, Vince, unless you're just really fired up.
I'm fired up, Doug, and it's cranking me up even more. The more we talk about it, the more I'm fired up, because it's like, I think about all the times throughout the Bible and all the times throughout I know I'm young, but I can look back over my life at the times when Satan or the enemy tried to suppress something that God wanted to do, and it's like, oh, you want to put a mountain in their way? God's like, I'll just use that as a way to provide.
Yeah.
I'll use that as a way to strengthen them and to overcome. And so we're going to see things like Google suppression has nothing compared to the Great Tribulation, Doug.
Right.
This stuff has nothing compared to what is coming.
Right.
And God's going to use all that so we can see the greatest revival. We can be part of the greatest revival that the world's ever seen.
Well,
I'm not scared of Google, Doug.
I'm not either. I'm not scared of the World Economic Forum or the UN either. And
I don't care how scary Klaus Schwab sounds.
Right.
He doesn't scare me.
And you bring up a great point, because when you look in the Bible and you start looking at what happens when God begins to pour the wrath out, the wrath of God, the first vial that's poured out is poured out on who? All the people that take the mark of the beast. And so it's going to be the world government, and it's going to be everybody, all their lackeys that are following them. And then the other plagues that begin to happen there, the other vials that are poured out, it's almost like God is pouring their own thing back out on them. Seas turn to blood. The sun gives them sores on them. The sun goes black in one of them. It's just amazing, because we see God say, okay, you've been warning about all this stuff all this time. You've been making all this stuff up. I'm going to show you what can really happen when these things really get ramped up. But it's going to be geared more toward the people that have taken the mark of the beast. And a lot of people, they get fired up and they say, well, we're not going to be here when the wrath of God's being poured out and everything. Well, the rapture of the church doesn't happen until after the sixth vial.
Did you really need to throw one more controversial thing in at the very
why
end?
not?
Of it?
We're at the
let's
end
talk
of the
about
program.
the timing of the rapture. What else can we hit on?
There you go. But
is Donald Trump the Antichrist? Can we throw that in there too?
But my point is God is he's going to be the one that gets the revenge on people. He's the one that's going to come and fight for us, and it's going to be against those people. And so we don't have to be afraid of that. We just have to educate folks and make sure they're not taking the mark of the beast. They're not following that one world government beast. They're not following his partner, the false prophet. That they stay connected to God, that their name's in the Lamb's Book of Life, and they're going to be fine. We're going to get through all this. But it is interesting. These things are so interesting, because never in my lifetime would I have thought that we would be looking at these type of things and talking about them every day. So much coming at you every day.
Well, here's what I know, Doug. It's never been easier to understand.
That's true.
It's never been easier to understand. And so, I would venture to say that anyone that reads Understanding the End Time, our brand new book, anyone that reads that with a sincere heart, with self-honesty, will not take the mark of the beast.
Right.
And won't have to go through any of that.
Yeah.
So if you want to be, I guess you could say mark of the beast proof. You need to read Understanding the End Time.
Mark of the Beast proof.
Endtime.com/UET. Doug,
MOB proof.
Teresa from Missouri would like to get on and comment. Should we bring her on real quick?
Sure.
All right. Let's go to Teresa. Teresa, welcome to
Thank
the
you.
End Time Show.
Listen, I couldn't call you on my affordable connectivity phone, otherwise known as an Obama phone. The FCC has, I guess, deemed that you're not worthy of me being able to call out to. There's Google sites I can't access, anything that has to do with Second Amendment and some religious things, and I'm getting steered away from certain things that I want to look at YouTube. So they were already, attacking the phones for people that get the free phone from the government. And that's understandable. They pay for it. The other thing is that beer is Modelo.
Well, hey, Teresa, I helped pay for that phone, and I want you to be able to call us.
I know, but I contact people. I can't even get a lawn chair at Academy Sports. And I've heard other people say they can't get Uber drivers, so I don't know what the government's got against Uber, except maybe they're making money without paying taxes. I don't know. But the other thing is there's another guy like you. His prophecy stuff is a little bit different, and I kind of can pick through that. But he's on BitChute, MeWe, and all these other things. And, of course, I'm listening to you on the radio, and my radio station now was taken over by new management, so I get the whole hour.
Well, be sure to call them and let them know how much you like our show.
I have.
Good.
I have. And I'm telling people, listen to this. But if the event, and I don't think they'll touch radio for a while, but in the event that you wish to be, cut off, where would you go? What format would you use if you were cut off from where you are right now?
Well, that is why we built Endtime Plus in January of 2020 is when we launched it. Are you already on Endtime Plus? Can you get it from your Obama phone?
No, probably not.
Do you have internet access?
I went and got a track phone so that I could look up things when I needed to look up.
Here's what we'll do, Teresa. We're going to gift you Endtime Plus. That way they can stop the censorship, okay? So stay on hold. We'll get your email address. We're going to give you 6 months of Endtime Plus. I hope it can get on the Obama phone. There's nothing I would enjoy more than for that transcript to be read on the Obama phone, that when you're watching the Salvation series or Understanding the End Time or anything like that, I would love for those to be logged in the Obama phone. So let's gift that to Teresa. Stay on hold. We'll get your email address, and you'll be able to consume End Time information censorship free. So thanks for calling, Teresa. We appreciate it. All right, Doug.
All right, Vince.
We've got like a minute left. So how do we wrap a show like today up and give people hope?
Well, that's a great question.
A Maui recap? Or no one's commented
you know
Maui
what?
yet.
You are on fire, so I think you can wrap it up for us. But, like you said, we don't have to be afraid. God's in control, and He knows the end from the beginning, and we just need to be in the Lord.
Well, one thing echoing through my mind throughout this show, Doug, has been an old song that we used to sing at camp meeting. No matter what the weapon is, I want you to know that I win. And it's talking about Jesus, of course, and how if we're with Jesus, we're going to win. And so make sure you're on Team Jesus. Go to endtime.com/reborn. That way you can be a part of the great reset that Jesus is going to do here on earth. We want to make sure you're reborn and in His kingdom. Endtime.com/reborn. Don't forget to join us on the tour. There's only 10 spots left. You've got 6 days to register at endtime.com/tour. We'll see you right back here tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central Time.